everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the All Star Wrestling Review Series, this time for the 27th of June, 1981. And we continue our foray into 1981. Going to finish the series probably by the end of the month at the latest, probably much sooner than that. We open with Strong Kobayashi defeating Steve King with an atomic drop in 421. Kobayashi, a major force in the Japanese market, and that is good at the time. Of course, having international talent kind of makes things a little better, or makes the product look a little better, as it were. Anyway, of course, him coming over from Japan, and Japanese wrestling is not obviously what it would be in the late 80s to present day by any stretch, but still established for a couple of decades here, maybe about a decade, decade and a half. And Kobayashi, a bunch of punches, kicks, chops, and basic stuff. Obviously, still doing the foreign heel thing here in 81, and a lot of punches and kicks, kind of bow and arrowing the arms and with the knee into the spine. And eventually a bear hug, driving his man into the buckle and trying to get as much of a aggressive offensive maneuver as possible, doing what he can where he can, and ultimately leading to some degree of nature in the atomic drop victory. We go to another in the series of matches here. This time we've got the tag team, or actually Angelo Mosca. I was thinking tag team because I had written Captain Lou Albano, so used to seeing him with the Moondogs, but Mosca here in a enhancement match. I would say he's winding down just because the level of competition that he's facing is dropping. Curt Hennig, or Curt Hennig is also on this program, but Jack Carson and Mosca is up next here. And Mosca basically does his simplest of offense, punch, kick, and get the backbreaker over the knee. The over-the-shoulder backbreaker seems to have given way to the backbreaker over the knee. Maybe it's easy to execute, easier to sell, whatever have you. Carson, though, takes a good bit of punishment before Mosca puts him away in real simple form with that backbreaker across the knee. And then we move to Johnny Roz and Curt Hennig. Yes, that Curt Hennig, a.k.a. Mr. Perfect. Years before getting into the character, years before being a major star in the AWA, he's here. Johnny Roz, of course, kind of testing out what he's capable of doing. Roz is normally the guy that does the losing, but here, in this particular endeavor, he's going to also do the honors for Curt Hennig. And one of Hennig's, actually probably the first WWF win he gets, but arm bars, basic stuff. Pull of the hair, and Roz trying to keep his man on the canvas, trying to get everything he can out of punishing Curt Hennig to the highest degree. Kicks by Roz, punches by Roz, and Roz trying to keep his man down and off balance as much as he possibly can. Hennig selling for the majority of the match. Comes back with a couple of hard shots, almost like the axe that Larry the Axe Hennig, his father, throws, and stands toe-to-toe, brawls with him a little bit, and eventually sidesteps, and he dumps himself over the top rope, and ultimately Hennig does get the victory, and Roz is complaining. The Grand Wizard out there with Don Morocco, basically Morocco claiming, along with the Wizard, that he will be the future of the industry. He is what he considers to be the next Intercontinental Champion, wants to get at Pat Patterson, but also Bob Backlund, and none other than the Intercontinental Champion, Pedro Morales. I mean, basically, he wants to go wherever he can with the Adriatic Spike. The Spike has been relatively unstoppable. Speaking of unstoppable, Killer Khan up next. Khan, not exactly a tactician by any stretch of the imagination. Killer Khan presented by Fred Blassie. Blassie, of course, a guy who basically always presents his guys to the best of their ability. Fred Mazzaro is defeated by this man, and that leads to the jumping knee off the top rope, very basic maneuvers by Khan. Khan with a bunch of Mongolian chops and simpler maneuvers. And then we go into a six-man tag team match. The six-man tag team match of this particular occasion, Rick Martel, Tony Gurria, the former tag team champions and friend, and actual former tag team partner, S.D. Jones, defeating Baron Miguel Cicluna, Frank Savage, and Danny O'Hannon. O'Hannon, an on-again, off-again, less on-again talent here in the area, and the idea here still is to keep the tag team or former tag team champions at the forefront of the mind of the fans. Obviously, Martel and Gurria still going to be figured into the tag team division at least for the remainder of 1981, if not a little longer. But getting them in that position, Gurria wrestles O'Hannon down for several minutes with some side headlocks. S.D. Jones comes in and stays on the man as well there, and ultimately, kind of ties up and does what he can, drop toe holds and basic maneuvers by Gurria. Gurria takes the majority of the match from the babyface perspective. Arm bars, arm locks, and the like. Simple stuff. Martel finally comes in and does a good bit of kind of fighting back for his team, and then we see the baby faces win in that scenario. Of course, Martel, Gurria, and S.D. Jones with the victory. We see then Don Morocco out with the Grand Wizard, and 3 minutes and 9 seconds is what it takes for the Grand Wizard's charge to defeat his opponent of the moment, Pete Mitchell, 309, with a leg drop followed by a tombstone. Morocco still hasn't found his complete and total bearings as far as the offense that he would use, but continues to foray towards that vein, and Morocco gets the victory, also using the spike a little bit, but not as much as he had in previous definitions. Maybe we want a little more flash out of Morocco, but the tombstone piledriver, a pretty big thing for 1981. We will be back with more right after this.